on a holistic level, when we talk about managing anything, right? So there we normally start with targeting this 10 knowledge area, what PMI have been expressed. And these are really good to even, control your life, to actually get your life in line of the, thought process of understanding the overall integration of my life, like, a very long-term goal, strategic initial plan, which can be then modified with a micro level, details when we come across them. So step by step, we evolve these project plans. First, we have integration. It's a kind of umbrella plans. Then we move to basically scope planning. So we verify scope. We try to understand the requirement again, try to verify, are we in line with that? Then we try to attach some schedule to the requirement, right? And we are still basically trying to address this schedule to be attached to the scope. Even if you look at the life at a holistic level, you can understand where do we stand today, what are my long-term goals, what were I trying to do. Okay, and yeah, there are some scope, there are some wishes which can be, we can either ignore them or either what you can say, scrap them as well. Like I want to be a train driver when I was in 4th or 5th standard, because when you see train, right, it's a huge entity, to be driven by an driver. And it was really a strange what you can say, understanding or wish of mine at that time. Yeah, I was young, and we were still learning how life should be shaped up and all those things. So now I don't have that intention. Well, of course, I've been traveled with driver a couple of times on a on quite a few journeys. So I know, even I tried to be a pilot. I applied for uh, planes pilot license when I was in St. Louis with I think Mackenzie School, yeah, if I can remember the name correctly, and it was really great experience. And that's how we keep improving ourselves, right? I feel I like to drive. I enjoy driving. But of course, in India, driving is really a great privilege because we have so huge populations, and the road conditions are not up to the marks most of the times. Well, we are improving, but still there are lots to be done. Means if you compare something like Germany, something like even North America, where we have all those really great developed intrastate, interstate, and all those things, where you can plot your journey from point A to point B really effectively, automatically also nowadays. But in India, we are still struggling with unplanned roads, the roads we have dug up by some authority, which is not really worried about getting them, aligned, filled, and all those. So we have many challenges, but still, as in India, it has its culture, it has its, closeness, it has its, unprivaciness, what I really like about India. Yeah, of course, everybody has their own likings, own, way of addressing things. Like, some like sweet, some like sour, some like, spicy food, and so on and so forth. But still, we have to have our aim scoped out again and again, most probably at least once a month, so that we can devise our scope, short-term scope, long-term scope, try to validate these things, then try to attach schedule again. Okay, and why I'm explaining this today, because after all creating that Microsoft plan last time, or last session with the Excel sheet, now we are at a juncture where we are trying to understand one of the most critical part of project management called control schedule. How do you control schedule? And as we philosophically normally speak, time isn't an entity which we can control. Either it's not, available to add it to your time, or you can't subtract time from your, schedule, right? So how do you control schedule? So what type of controls we can measure, put in, and make the whole project really run on track every time, each time we do project management. So that's what we're going to learn today. It's really important as far as understanding control schedule. And then we move on to one of the most and what you can say, liked by many, knowledge area called cost management. Why everybody likes cost management? Because I think we are more concerned with financial entities rather than our happiness, and that's what every culture have differed in their thought processes. But still, if you look at the larger picture overall, people are more concerned about the financial success than the actual psychological success or the happiness of any given person. This is specifically attached to the human entity, as in man, material, machine. We are talking about man most probably here. So to control schedule is really a crucial and important part of our project management. What are the plans we have created yet? What are the scope we have validated yet, and what are the schedule we have attached with that management plan of plans of ours yet? We need to revise, we need to control it for the complete progress or for the complete progression of our project or of our even daily day-to-day life. And this is speaking what you can say generically, right? So let's try to understand control schedule, and then we might have another session on controlling life kind of scenario. Believe me, if you really know project management at its crux, you'll be a happy person rather than struggling on something like finance, struggling on something like moving from point A to point B, or trying to move in between jobs and all those things. So that's why controlling schedule is one of the most important factor even in project management and as in our day-to-day life as well. Okay, can anybody share their thoughts on this, or anybody want to share their thoughts on this? Please be frank and fair, because this is more to do with how me as an artist can control my project, control my life, at least control my day or control my week for that matters. Anybody wants to say anything, share their thought?
I missed the first part. So what was the question, sir? I just joined.
Yeah, no problem. See, we are trying to understand the process of controlling schedule today. I asked a question, and we basically started this session of understanding how we can control life. Like we have long-term goal, short-term goal. Like here we have scope, which are kind of group items, which are kind of sub items, and so on and so forth. We have the WBS to basically create those activities, work items, or work entities to be executed in a given time, given week, given sprint, and all those things, right? And here we are basically trying to control schedule. We had integration management, then we had scope management, then we have schedule management. And this is the kind of last process in the schedule management. So on a holistic level, even in our life, we need to control schedule every time, every day, every hour. I want to understand from you, if you want to share your thoughts on this control schedule process group. How do you manage your life? How do you think you can control your project? On a holistic level, it can't be something related to software development project, but holistic level, what do you think, what should we do? And this is again a more of philosophical questions rather than pertaining to any particular execution as a whole. I don't want to know nitty-gritty details of your life, but still on a holistic level, are we on the same page or not? That's what I want to understand. Can anybody share their thoughts on this, please?
Based on what we want to achieve, we can adjust our schedule to accommodate some new learnings or stuff like that.
Perfect, perfect. So you're trying to say new learning also is a part of your aim, or also is a part of your goal. That's really
Yes.
great. That's really great thing. Yes, and that should be. And uh, this way, I can keep improving myself minute after minute, day after day, week after week. That's really great. And that's why we have these knowledge archival process in project management as well. So that we can look back and try to understand, have I reacted correctly in that scenario? But rather than pessimistic, I can be really positive. Oh,
Yes.
that scenario have guided me for these things. So at that time, that looks really good, and I've taken the decision with full of my brilliance and my controlled mind. And that's why the control schedule is really a what you can say relevant name for such scenarios. That's really great, man. Thank you. Anybody else want to share their thoughts?
And I can also add, like I see resource optimization. So based on the resources and the constraints we have, we can plan out how we want to go about it.
Very, very well said, man. And I couldn't agree with you more. This is one of the most prominent area where in our day-to-day life also we manage our finances, we manage our we do some compromises most of the time also. Similarly, in even in our project, we have to compromise on various level. Like you might not get the resources up to the skills, so you might have to hire some extra trainer who can train them on weekends, who can train them early morning, late evening or something like that, so that those resources can come up to the mark. In our day-to-day life, we have a responsibility like bringing up our children, bringing up our kids, and be it a wife or husband, I normally treat them equal at all levels. So I don't feel it's like just the ladies' responsibility to bring up kids. It's even the husband's responsibility as well, and he also needs to contribute than just addressing the finances. But I still can understand, even as a husband wife, if you share these responsibility, like finance is your, bring up kids is mine, but still you have to give in something in terms of bringing up our new generation, bringing up our new humans into these life. That's how I put it. But yes, again, even in project, the resource upbringing is really a big artwork which we need to manage throughout our project. Even there are project managers who have resources attached to them left and right. Means throughout my career, I don't know, I try to create more devotees than workers. What do you mean by devotees? They get attached to you on a personal level, and you normally work with them with the best possible efficiency. Either you can get club with such resources, and by the time you cross your first 3 years in the management, you have at least 6 or 7 such resources. Like if you have those resources, whatever was a project, you can do it in a breeze. And yes, this type of confidence really brings up the project management, program management to a new level, because this is what is expected when you say try to control schedule. Okay, let me go through the inputs, tools, and techniques and output type of thought processes, the way PMI try to explain these, various process group, and then we'll basically discuss further, like how I can implement these scenarios in my real life as well. Okay, let's take the inputs. The inputs are schedule management plan, of course, because here previously I have attached some schedule to my task with some resources. So I have a complete plan in my hand, the basic plan. I haven't still gone to a level where I might be add a risk or cost to this, but yes, they are of course getting added slowly, steadily, and we'll going to have that thing in our output as well. But the basic schedule management plan, schedule baseline, and a scope baseline. So schedule baseline here means all the verified, validated schedule, even approved and reviewed by the top management, because we believe those guys have done this thing many times, so they can guide me up to the nth level of managing this project schedule also. This is like taking guidance from the senior. You might call them expert, you might call them COE, you might call them SME, Center of Excellence, or subject matter expert. But yes, once you have their blessing, once you have their review taken in place, you are rest assured and confident on whatever schedule, baselines, or validated scope you have in your documents. And then we have performance measurement baselines. These are specifically talk about the efficiency of the resources. Like Madam have correctly expressed, we always try to extra tune the resources. What do you mean by extra tune? I learned this word from one of my Russian participants, and that's really great thought process. This might not be a right word in terms of grammatically or linguistically, but extra tuning means you're trying to align the resources to a given task at hand. Be it something like you are in the market, and you don't have so much what I can say finances to buy really very high quality type of food items or something like that. So you normally compromise in between. How do you compromise? You normally get the let's say dairy product or vegetable product which might go bad in near future, and you try to use them at your household. And this is a normal type of compromise we do. Does it mean that we are compromising health? No. What we are doing, we are trying to tune up or align our resources to a level where we are doing it okay. We are doing fine. We are doing just fine, rather than we are exaggerating our, concern, exaggerating our resources in one way or the other. And that's what I like about, um, the overall middle class, to understand or tune the resources every time, every day, each step of our life. And that's what the performance measurement baselines are all about. You try to understand the resource capability, you try to understand the resource quantity and quality in hand, and then you tune up your life, tune up your project to an nth level, so that you basically start working with it, whatever you have in your hand. Okay, could you understand what I'm trying to say? Anybody have any problem in understanding performance measurement baselines?
No.
The baseline, you can think it as a reference line where you have your what you can say, availability in terms of resources, in terms of efficiencies, but you have to bring them up to a level where I can control the schedule in a way. I must complete the project on time every time, and that's how the management is an art, and that's how we normally control the schedule each step of the way. The project documents normally, the input here are lessons learned register as correctly spoken. Whatever we learn from our experiences. The more you experience in your life, the more happy you should be, the more content you should be, the more satisfied you should be, and so on and so forth. So here also in the project, we really go to a level where we understand what we have learned together, how could we use our learnings based to the fitment of the current scenario. So how could I be happy in today's day? What I have in hand, what I have don't in hand, what I have not achieved yet, or I have planned to achieve, it's still there. But what I have planned to achieve still needs to be a kind of satisfaction to it. Like I have reached this level after so many efforts, so many disturbances, so many challenges, but still I'm here, right? And I'm still fighting. So I have that fight in me. I'm still learning for the better part of the life, and so on and so forth. And this is how the progression happens. So lessons learned registers talks about all the experiences we have collected till date. In a project management scenario, we have a cloud storage nowadays where we call it knowledge management area. There we normally refer in case if you are came across any challenges, so that we can understand how the other previous projects have been executed in such scenarios. Okay, and then from them we might apply some good practices, best practices they have followed, and then we can build on that. Then we have project calendars. Now these calendars are again gives you a good thought process of how to tune up your goal, how to tune up your schedule activities, tasks, planning what you done in terms of actual project execution. Same thing with the schedules. Can I tune? Yes, I can. I can definitely tune these tasks or activities to the best of my ability, based of actual practical execution. And what does that mean? That means that I have a control, or I have a basically ability to control the project. And this is how I tuned up my calendars and schedule to a level to make sure my project is being executed on time every time. And that's why these two are one of the most important factors we control on. And for that we have various methods like precedence diagram method, critical task method, where you just have to control one or two tasks to make sure the project is on time. And those are first most important first critical task and second critical task. The first critical task is the critical task which Microsoft project clearly depicts in the red. The next one is basically if this is executed fine, if this is executed in the best possible way, then is there any other task which we should worry about in terms of the criticality? Okay, so this is how we control project. This is how we normally validate our task, either daily basis or mostly minute by minute basis, or mostly whenever we review this project. So it can be something like in early morning or at the end of the day, I have to make sure my project plan is according to the practical execution. And this way, we normally keep track of if we need to add anything in terms of any resources, if you need to change or replan my calendars, schedule, and so on and so forth. That's what we basically do a kind of realignment for. Then we have resource calendars where if any resources not well, fall ill, can't join the office or something like that sort, I'll make sure his or her task is to be done by anybody else, and how the fitment of that resources works out for the project calendars or the project schedule. Now these type of even learnings or experience, I'll say I'll try to decide how the schedule data is coming in line with the step by step execution. This is because I might have to learn if there are typical resources who's taking too much leave, if there are resources who couldn't perform up to their optimum levels. We need to make sure they do for this project throughout the schedule of the project. So that's why we need to understand the schedule data in depth, and to just to make sure the projects are getting executed in time, on budget, every time. Okay, now let's try to understand this related to more of our like kids education in our life. Of course, we have a limited number of years for the education of the kids. We have limited number of even finances, and we have limited number of even our daily work hours to basically sit with them to make sure they get the quality education one way or the other. Now all this scenario, and you can compare it with them the schedule data on a given project. So you have the resources which are have the skill levels up to the mark, which have the skill levels, which have the brilliance, or which have the overall attitude to complete the project tasks in time, every time, but still challenged with some personal what you can say limitation, personal issues, that what we need to get addressed on a one-to-one level. You might plan some meeting. You must try to optimize them in a way where they might feel energized, and we might use something like carrot stick type of approaches sometime as well, so that we have shown them a number of carrots, not actually carrots, but you can promise them certain things which can improve their life up to a great standards, but still, they need to achieve it. So how do you achieve it? You say, if you are a developer, you might make him or her senior developer. As an promotion, if you complete this task in time, and after this project, you might award him or her a kind of promotion he or she deserves. And that way, these are all tactics to get our resources aligned for the given project. That matters. And this is how we keep improving the performance data. We keep improving our efficiency in every step, every time we execute our project. And that's one of the most crucial part. This is one of the most contributory thing project manager does, and it's completely what I can say, artwork. It's not a scientific approach. Well, you can't say, there are gray areas. There are, in between thought process when you say scientific or, artwork. But to me, more or less, this is a real artwork what project managers does. So that all the resources, man, material, machines are working in unison to get your project complete on time, on budget, and so on and so forth. That's why the work performance data is one of the most crucial inputs. And from the work performance data, I try to understand how I can, utilize this resource at a given, level expected for this project. And this does means that we have, let's say, 182 lines of for a .NET, 160 lines per day for a Java resource, and so on and so forth. So there are some industry benchmarks available as far as work performance data also. So if you hire a new resources, the efficiency might go down a bit, because then even other resources are giving time for the new resources to bring up to the speed, right? So that's why my work performance might get disturbed. So proactively getting the new resource on board is also one of the most, what you can say, artistic work a project manager keeps doing throughout the project. And there are normally even, kind of exits from the organization, exits from the project. So you need to have inputs, or you need to have addition of the resources throughout your project life cycle as well. So for that way, the project performance data is a balancing act we do throughout our project. And of course, the organization process assets helps us out in a way, like the resource managers are always keen on understanding what type of resource you need and when you need. If you intimate him or her in terms of resource management earlier of your requisition acquisition, he might get resource to you on time every time, and that way you can effectively manage your project. But this is the kind of proactive work is expected out of a project manager, and this way this is the one of the most important factor when you try to control the schedule. Do anybody have any questions on inputs of control schedule?
No.
We are good, right? No problem. Let's move on to the tools and techniques. Let's try to understand data analysis. We keep analyzing data day in, day out, even in our real life, even in project as well. We might check out how many resources do I have? Is there any fallout? Is there any challenges, inefficiencies? How can I, improve those challenges? And for these type of thought processes, we do review projects on almost daily basis. I have never seen a project manager who won't review his project plan at least once a day. Personally, I used to review it early in the morning and even leaving the office for the day. And those 2 times I used to review my project from top to bottom, just to make sure I have all the resources aligned, I have all the schedule and scope verified, so that I'm not doing anything wrong in terms of achieving the project goal, achieving the project success. Now here PMI puts down around 5 different entities on which we normally work, and these are really great way to understand how we can control schedule effectively. The first one is earn value analysis. For those who haven't done the older class or older session, earn value analysis is a technique where we try to make sure what have we completed in development, to take it as an earn result of a project and try to extrapolate that earn result to the end result of the project, so that we get a trend analysis of how much things have completed as far as my current schedule, current milestone, and how good or bad it looks to complete the complete project at this pace, at this efficiencies. And efficiency means all the work hour I have invested in the current project. How am I doing in terms of the results generated, the deliveries I have achieved, the functionalities I have completed in those percent areas. And here we normally try to understand, am I ready to earn the successful project or not? And those kind of scenarios. Again, it's a trend analysis, normally done based on various values, on various calculations, and we want to learn that again. Don't worry on that part. So whenever we do our cost management, we'll try to have a review of earn value analysis also. If you want, you can ask me and I'll share those videos also, which I have in terms of earn value analysis. They are really great video available on YouTube in terms of how to do this earn value analysis. Okay. Then we have iteration burn down chart. Now, when you talk about Agile Scrum, mostly we do every of our project operations, project development in iteration in sprint. So each of the sprint and the sprint remaining on my plan, I'll try to analyze how am I doing in terms of project completion, trend analysis again. So if I have, let's say, 10 sprint plan to complete my project, product development or services development, and if I'm at, let's say, 40% of it, have I completed 40% of the tasks, activities? If not, then I'm behind the schedule. So this iteration burn down chart doesn't look good to me. I need to make sure, I need to either do crashing or fast tracking to make sure I fill in those gaps and try to bring my project on the track. And this way, even the Microsoft project can label your project red, green, yellow. Now, why do we label this project in these 3 color codes? This to make sure if your project is in red, you need to take actions as of now, and even the top management will help you out. If the project is in yellow, you as a project manager have a control to get the project in the green. If the project is in green, you are doing okay. And you have to keep doing okay throughout your project to make sure you complete your project within the resources what you have in hand, within the schedule given to you, within the cost allocated for a project. And for that, we also do performance reviews. These performance review are done on the three materials we use: man, material, machine. So performance regarding the human resources, we can easily compare how much work has to be done by resource A, and how much he or she is performing on that day, or basically till that day, so that we can understand if he or she is trying to perform in the similar level, perform in the similar way, how we can achieve the project success. Do I need some extra human resource? If yes, then I might apply, or I might had those requisition filled out for a given resource managers. And that's the way I can keep track of my project performance overall. Then the trend analysis. Even the earn value and iteration burn down chart gives you a good trend analysis. Are we doing okay? Are we red, green, blue? Red, yellow, green, and these type of trend analysis normally gives me a clear data of, am I going to complete the project on time, in time, or am I delayed as of now. So do I have to use the fast tracking or a crashing so that I can get my project in the green in case if it's yellow or green. Sorry, in case if it's yellow or red. And this way, this trend analysis or even the variance analysis, we're going to understand variance analysis in details when we do cost management knowledge area. But here, let's try to understand the basic, thought process of variance analysis. Now, whenever you say you are tracking a project, and as we have understand the golden triangle, you have a cost, schedule, and quality to be balanced. Now, any critical variance in any of these three can derail your project, and we have to control the project within this, range of variance. And this range of variance is already included or already embedded in your project planning. So, if you are getting delayed, the project management software normally tracks down your variance level. In case if you're delayed by a day in a sprint, that might not be a much importance on a larger level, because a day you can easily what I can say acquire, either working on weekend or spending an hour on daily basis, or those kind of mitigation strategies. But otherwise, if it's more than, let's say, 3 days or so, if you have a weekly sprint, then you are in a danger, or you are in a kind of red zone. And every organization have a definition for these kind of variance analysis. So if I say, if I am delayed by, let's say, 5%, that's okay. If I delayed by 6%, that marks my project to the yellow. If I delayed more than 15%, that marks my project to the red. I'm just sharing a few numbers with you to understand how we normally understand this variance analysis. So again, all these quantity, be it a cost, schedule, quality, it is varied throughout our practical progress of a project. But still, the analysis of it in comparison with the actuals or planned progress that's what this variance analysis is all about. So we try to understand if there are 6 tasks to be completed in 6 days, and if there are only 5 tasks are completed, then how much percentage or how much variance do I have in my schedule? So much percentage. Okay, is it within the management limit, or is it creeping on a larger of that limit? Then I might need to take help. I might need to basically take help of top management to get that variance analysis in control. And even the top managers can help me out, including the COE and SME, to make sure I'll bring or I'll get the schedule under control. And this is what the fun of schedule control is. And even if there are what if scenario, in case even if I'm not delayed or varied after the management control, but still I can proactively make sure my project will never get out of control, or out of this allowed variance analysis. And yes, of course, all these project management softwares allow me to track my variances just by looking at it. Even in Microsoft project, we'll try to understand whenever we look at the Microsoft project and the task to be completed as of today, are we fine or are we varied in terms of how many tasks are yet to get completed? Do I have that resources, or do I have that, do I have that much variance that can I can manage to be controlled for my next day or next sprint, so that I can get my project on track. So this way, I can also have a what if scenario analysis in case if I'm kind of on a critical level of variance analysis as well. So again, variance analysis are the numbers mostly tracked with the project management plan, so that the schedule, cost, or quality are not being deviated from whatever you planned, either first time or after reviews and all those things. And for this purpose, we normally review our project almost daily, once or twice, so that I'll make sure the variance analysis looks good. My project is in green rather than in yellow or the red. Even if it's gone in the yellow, I'll try to make sure or try to bring it in a green as early as possible, with all those addition or changes in my strategy. And these things we keep doing day by day in our daily life as well, right? And we keep trying to basically tune our day in the morning or in the evening to make sure we are completing all our critical tasks at hand. Similarly, in our project management also, we try to complete all our critical tasks, level 1 and level 2, to make sure we are in the green zone of the project variance analysis or performance review or the other analysis, whatever PM I have mentioned here. Then, of course, the most important thing is critical path method. We already discussed this thing, but still, let me rephrase it again. Here, as the project management software gives you a critical path. Now, what is the critical path? Critical path is a singular execution of task. Okay, critical path is a single execution of task where we try to make sure if that task or activity sequence get delayed, the project can be get delayed, right? So in such scenario, what we are trying to do, we are trying to basically make sure our project is on time, on schedule, on budget. And for that, what we do, we normally try to make sure the critical tasks are not delayed at all cost. So even if a resource on the critical task it's fall ill or couldn't come to office, we will support any other resources who might be have a lesser number of tasks attached to him for a day, so that he's make sure the critical task is not disturbed at all. And like this, even if there's a critical number 1, critical number 2 task, I'll make sure any of the critical tasks are not being delayed by any reasons. And this way, I can make sure my project is on time, in budget, with the best possible qualities. And that's how I keep executing my project throughout the project life cycle, to make sure it will never weigh it down to the yellow or the red of it. Okay. Does anybody have any question for me at this moment?
No.
Okay. And as we see, right, the project management information system, PMIS, this is the system which senior management, the top management of the organization, normally verifies on daily basis to make sure every project within their organization, within their capacity, within their gambit of scope, is on track, in time, or is green. And that's way, whenever my project is varied down to schedule, cost, or quality, in either way, if it's trying to get out of control, they will help me out. And PMIS is one of the most important thing which we as a project manager need to understand, to make sure how this system is collecting data from your project. And in every organization, this is a bit different. When you talk about Microsoft project, Microsoft project can be integrated with Outlook and various other software system where the data can be shared with any PMIS for that matters. Similarly, you can have Jira. Jira have various web services gateway interface to make sure whatever data you are inputted in Jira can get updated by can get retrieved by many systems like SAP. Like if you have any other ERP, any other dashboards which you have floated on your website, can retrieve the data from all such project management system, be it a Microsoft project, Jira, Primavera, and there are dozen project management system which offers this facility. And this PMIS normally has it reviewed by top management. In case your project is on verge of green or verge of yellow or red, they'll basically have a call with you or they'll have an extra project review plan so that we'll try to understand how we can get the project on track. And that's how every organizations within themselves try to work towards the best possible project completion. So we are all tuned for completing project in time on budget with all possible efficiency within our resource capacities. And of course, the next point is resource optimization. As the project completion, and we work with these three resources, man, material, machine. So every item, everybody in my project organizations try to make sure all the resources are optimized or they have acquired proactively with the optimum quality and deliveries are created within time, within budget, and so on and so forth. So this way, resource optimization, even in our life, we do resource optimization every hour, every time. And these are basically can be as simple as trying to sleep early if you want to get up early in the morning. So what we can do, what we are doing here, we are planning ahead. And similarly, in our project management also, I try to get the resource proactively so that his learning curve will be shortened. Even the disturbance to other current resources are the least to share the knowledge with the new resources so that the proactive acquisition of a resource help me out in basically planning my task better, reducing my stress level or mental levels to a minimum. And that's why I keep doing these things throughout my project life cycles. And of course, I need to understand the leads and lag. We had a look at precedence diagramming method. Please have a look at that video again so that we'll understand how we measure leads and lags. Leads and lags are the entities whenever we try to plan our task sequentially, whenever we try to apply schedule to the activities or a work item or a task, there I normally have leads and lags depending upon the dependencies as well as various um, uh, various factors we just discussed, like this task should task after this task finishes, or this task should be completed before that task. These two tasks should start simultaneously, or these two tasks must complete simultaneously so that the third task can start on time and the project schedule will be aligned in the most efficient way. And this way, we normally manage all our leads and lags with the given schedule or with the proactive schedule planning or reactive schedule review on almost daily basis, if not multiple times a day, or those kind of scenarios. Then, of course, the schedule compression. If your project is, going to a green, going to a yellow in terms of variance analysis, performance analysis, or earn value analysis anyway, what I'll try to do, I'll try to compress some of the schedule. What do you mean by compress? I'll try to request resources to stay late and get their task completed so that our projects might be fall in the category of green project. And this way, these are all basically addressed to the late workings, be it a software or manufacturing industries. We all do those things just to make sure our schedule is compressed, schedule is on track, on time. And that's how we basically maintain a project execution in time, in control every time. Okay. Does anybody have any questions on tools and techniques of control schedule?
No, sir.
Okay. even within schedule compression, this schedule compression do mean either schedule compressed or fast tracking, whatever suits at that time. Because as we know, right, schedule compression is high risk. Schedule, fast tracking is of high cost. Again, depending on whatever resources available to me at a given time, given day, I normally plan it accordingly. Now let's have a look at outputs of the control schedule. Here we have work performance information, where we normally try to uh, distribute the work performance information for the organization for each and every resources. Well, these get collected from your project management software automatically. So as a manager, I don't have to give these information to anybody on on a personal level, or data to be shared on my by me or something like that sort. But this happens automatically by the project management software. Again, the schedule forecast, these are what they're talking about, the trend analysis. How you feel if you're going at the same space throughout your project schedule, how the project looks to you. Is it going to complete in time or on time, or are we going over over the schedule? And these type of scenario we need to really review on a daily basis to make sure our project is on track, is in the green zone. And that's why we have to do schedule forecast actively on almost daily basis. Then we have change request. Again, change request is detrimental to your schedule, because whenever change control board approves anything, these gets added to a schedule one way or the other. But as we have discussed earlier, what I try to do, I try to add this change request to the next sprint or next to next sprint. And that's how I can plan my sprint with a full stability for a given week, or for the sprint time, whatever I am planning for. So this way, I'll make sure whatever task I have in hand are getting completed within a week's time. Similarly, in our day-to-day life, we normally plan for a daily basis. So what are the challenges do I have today? I have to close them within my day's resources, be it a time, money, quality, and all those scenarios. So similarly, here all these change requests came to me left and right. I need to plan them effectively. That's the project manager's job. Okay, that's what they are talking about here. Then of course we keep managing or aligning my project to the best of my knowledge, so that I complete my project effectively. I control my project effectively with schedule. So I have to update schedule management plan, schedule baseline. Again, the cost baseline here is the introduction. Now, whenever you try to attach scope, schedule, and a resource, you get a cost. Let me explain this thing to you. And this is the philosophy, or this is the way we normally plan project. So whenever you try to scope attached with schedule with the resource gives you a cost. Let's try to understand from a task perspective. I need to uh, what should I need to prepare a tea early in the morning. Okay, now I need to understand the scope of it. I've understood the scope. I need to get my tea for me, as well as couple of my family members as well, early in the morning whenever I get up. So what I do, I have a pot, water, tea powder, put it, bring it to boil, and so on. So I have a scope, I have a schedule attached to it. Now, as far as the resources goes, I am the only one human resources. Then I have a water, tea powder, any masala or any spices I'll add to my tea. These are the resources which I basically utilize to make the tea. Okay, so scope, schedule with the resources, I get a cost. So there's a particular cost of making a tea for a given entity, for a given family with a number of resources. How do I make sure I normally execute this thing in budget, in resources, in cost, in quality, and in schedule every time I proactively plan such scenario? So I'll keep the pot near the tap. I'll have the tea powder, container clearly marked. Same way, if any spices I'm going to use for that, I'll mark the, if I use milk powder, cream, whatever, I'll keep it ready so that early morning I don't waste too much of my time in making tea. And too much of time is mean basically derailment of a schedule one way or the other. And if my schedule gets delayed, my other task gets delayed, and so the cost is getting exaggerated or it's increasing in multi-folds. So that's why cost baseline is one of the most crucial factors we have introduced here. Now, then this also leads to our next knowledge area, cost management. Okay, but let's complete this thing and then we'll step into that. So we have a performance measurement baseline. These are basically refer to each resource's efficiencies, including me as a project manager. And we have to make sure all of these performance are being performed at the optimum level so that my project concludes in time, in budget, within the specified limit of my quality. And that's how I keep doing this performance measurement baseline analysis almost on a daily basis whenever I review my project. Okay, and of course, then we have number of project documents updates, specifically the plan updates, the assumption logs, so that if I assume any new thing, I'll add it to the log. The basis of estimate. Here we are more, leaning towards the cost management. So whatever for my basis of estimate in terms of the the resource performances. This can be something like how a typical Java resource is performing, have I have adequate resources to make sure my project is completed on time every time, and those scenarios. Then, of course, I update the lessons learned registered, my experiences, and keep adding to the kitty so that even everybody else also can be getting benefited or getting referred by them as well. Then I have a project schedule which basically getting updated to the all alignments I have done to make sure I'm controlling the project more effectively day by day. Then the resource calendar, and this resource calendar reflects to any of the deviation, any of the variance from the actual planned task, planned resource, either faulting out, like a resource getting ill, a resource couldn't join on time, and so on and so forth. So those kind of resource deviation have to be aligned particularly in terms of our critical task, so that my project is won't get delayed even after there's a fallout on a given a resource or a tool, something like that. So then we have risk register. Here, okay, we talked about okay, resource calendar. We talked about risk register. Again, if I have a new assumptions, I might have a risk to add it to, and even risk register get reviewed by a project manager internally to make sure we have covered all the risk and there's no risk occurrence at this moment, at the current moment, which has to be mitigated on priority. If there are some risks coming even tomorrow, I'll proactively plan those mitigation strategies so that I don't have to really stressed out tomorrow for the given risk. What are such risks? A leave taken by a critical task allocated resource. He might have some, medical checkup state. He might have a marriage. He might have his kids, birthday or something like that sort, right? So in that scenario, I need to make sure the other resources are allocated to the critical task so that my critical task won't get delayed. Or I might do something like schedule compression, either fast tracking or crashing to make sure I'll keep my project schedule on time every time. And this is all done with the schedule data. And with the schedule data, I have quite a few good amount of trend analysis to be analyzed and updated as far as the tools and techniques of the control schedule. So this way, I even control my project. I even can control my life on daily basis. So align my life for a given schedule, for a given targets, for a given goals which I have planned for me is a fun, is a really way to enjoy life. Believe me, and this is how we have to do it. This is how we to enjoy our life on day-to-day basis. Does anybody have any questions on control schedule outputs?
No,
Are we
sir.
good? Okay, no problem. Okay, so this way we normally complete our project and schedule management. Okay, now please have a look at the recordings and ask me if you have any questions, and we might have a look at it as well. And also, please tell me if you want, on Sunday to do a review of whatever topics you think you have difficulty in understanding as well. Okay, so I'm ready to spend weekends in terms if you want to want to learn anything which you have difficulty in understanding till this point. Okay, please read the 6th chapter or listen to the 6th chapter within the project PMB PM book. Okay, so please it's really a great way to keep learning these latest trends and techniques in project management. Okay, if you have any difficulty, please let me know. I'll be happy to solve those things. Now, project cost management. Let me stop the recording and start it again.